A very good morning, fellow Foundrymen. It gives me great pleasure in interacting with you all for the 5th edition of IIF Symposium, organized on the occasion of the 37th Chapter Day celebrations here at MMA Chennai. We now request Mr. S.V. Ranganathan, Organizing Committee Chairman IIF, to accompany our chief guest, Mr. N.Balavijayan, President, Simpson and Company Limited, on the stage, please. We now request our Chennai Chapter Chairman, IIF, Mr. Saktivel Thinnakavasu, to accompany our guest of honor, Dr. K.N. Satyanarayana, Director, IIT Tirupati, onto the stage. We now request our Chennai Chapter Honorary Secretary, Mr. Vignesh Ramanan, to accompany our Treasurer, Southern Region, IIF, Mr. R. Palani Murugan, onto the stage, please. May we now request our Chennai Chapter Vice Chairman, Mr. V.K. Raman, and Chennai Chapter Treasurer, IIF, Mr. Sendil Kumar, to join us. With the blessings of the Almighty, all events are bound to be successful, and we would now like to start the day with the Tamil Thai Valthu. We request the gathering to rise for the Tamil Thai Valthu. Lighting the Kuttuvilakku is our traditional way of beginning our good deed or event. We now request our dignitaries on the dais and our senior members present with us today to light the Kuttuvilakku and start off the event in a grand manner. Now, we welcome our Chennai chapter chairman, Mr. Saktivel Tirunakavarse, to deliver the welcome address.
Kalai Vanakkam. Thank you. See, today we are on a 5th IIN Symposium inauguration. I welcome on the dais dignitaries and the National Council members, Southern Regional Council members, Chapter Council members, past office bearers, and the delegates who have been here today to grace the occasion. So this is the 5th IIN Symposium. In fact, it is the only chapter who is having two programs for ferrous as well as non-ferrous. Later part of next year, maybe the March, we are conducting an aluminium conclave. So the prime purpose of this iron symposium is to promote the processing of iron. As we are aware that the castings buyer requirement is increasing on day by day. So what is the latest technology available? How to make the process effective and competitive and cost effective also. That is the prime aim, and this is the 5th year we have been doing it for continuously and the most successfully also. So today if you see the papers are lined up on all the spectrum of the foundry, starting from methoding to fettling automation. So all the molding, core shop, all the process has been covered this time. So please enrich yourself whatever been going to be held today, the entire day. And the later part of this today at 3 o'clock we have a very good program, Chennai Cash Quiz. That's a very coveted trophy for a long time, and about 20 teams, right? 20 teams is going to compete in the same hall. Please be here and enrich yourself, because quiz is more knowledge dissemination. You can learn a lot from that. Mr. Nadimuthu, an expert in this field, is going to be the quiz master. With this, once again I will welcome you to this 5th IIN Symposium. This is going to be the part of our 37th Chapter Day celebration. Chapter Day celebration is going to be started next week, Thursday, that is on 24th at GRT. Please be, all of you welcome there for also, it's a free program. Please be there also. With this, I conclude. Once again, welcome you all for this IIN Symposium. Thank you.
I'm sure all of you are curious to know more about the 37-day celebrations. We now request our organizing committee chairman, Mr. S.V. Ranganathan, to brief us about this year's Chapter Day celebrations.
Fellow Foundrymen, a very good morning to one and all. On behalf of the organizing committee, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for the 5th IIN Symposium, which is being conducted as part of the 37th Chapter Day celebrations. IIF Chennai chapter conducts the Chapter Day every year in a great grand manner, and this year we have made it into 3 days. The first one was on 12th November, an industrial visit where 39 delegates from various foundries visited Amalgamations Value Clutch India Private Limited, Oragadam, Chennai. It was a state-of-art manufacturing plant, and this was done in the first half. In the second half, we visited again a state-of-art foundry, the Ashok Leyland Foundry Division, Sri Perumbudur, Chennai. The delegates all had a very good takeaway from these visits. Today, we are in the second event of the Chennai Chapter Day celebrations, the 5th IIN Symposium. The aim of the seminar is to provide a forum for the delegates from foundry industry to exchange ideas, present the latest developments and trends in the industry, and provide a great platform for networking. Today, we will hear from the experts in the industry on the various improvement and topics on melting, molding, core making, and post-production processes. Later this afternoon, we will have the Cash Quiz program, and 20 teams are likely to be participating from various foundries in Chennai, who are going to be competing for the coveted Chennai Cash Quiz trophy. All the best to the teams participating today. I'm sure today is going to be a very informative and enlightening day with a lot of takeaways. Last but not the least, the third event of this chapter day is going to be happening at GRT Grand on 24th November, which is the birthday of the chapter, and we are going to have the regional cast quiz, an annual event where we have participants from foundries from the southern region participating again for a very coveted Fosico rolling trophy on that day. This will be followed by, in the evening, a very grand celebration to commemorate the Chennai Chapter Day celebrations. So delegates and all the members, please take this opportunity, and I take this opportunity to invite all our members to celebrate our Chapter Day, which will be a memorable one at Hotel GRT Grand on 24th November. Thank you.
Information on the 37th Chapter Day celebrations. We now request Mr. V.K. Raman, Vice Chairman, Chennai Chapter IIF, to introduce our chief guest, Mr. N.Balavijayan, President, Simpson and Company Limited, to the gathering.
Good morning, fellow Foundrymen, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Balavijayan Nagarajan to this august gathering. Mr. Balavijayan Nagarajan is President of Simpson and Company Limited, Chennai. On the educational part, he completed his degree in PSG Tech Coimbatore and did business management by Mexican University, India program and MBA from Manipal University. He served in various organizations as a leader in Avtech Limited, Pitambur, Royal Enfield, Chennai, Mahindra & Mahindra, Navy Star as COO, JCB India Limited, and Tata Hitachi Construction Machinery as Vice President Purchasing and Supply Chain. His expertise in business management, large and medium businesses, global sourcing, manufacturing of powertrain and allied products, strategic planning and policy rollout, JV coordination and technology transfer, lean management and quality systems, and business excellence. Coming to international exposure, visited Japan, UK, Brazil, US and EU countries for the development of various projects, attended many conferences in Malaysia, South Africa, China, Australia, Singapore, Vietnam and Dubai. And lean management trained at Toyota Motor Corporation, Nagoya. And engaged in international corporate companies like JCB UK, Hitachi Japan, Mitsubishi Motors Corporation, Ford Motor US, UK, South Africa, Brazil, France and Germany, General Motor Corporation, Detroit and India, Navy Star ANC US and Brazil, VW Germany, Skoda Motor at Prague. So with this good note, I request Mr. Balavijayan Nagarajan to address this august gathering. Thank you.
Dignitaries on the dais, council members, and all the delegates, very, very good morning to you all. Thank you for the brief introduction. Thank you very much. And for me, it is almost like a homecoming after 30 years, worked in various parts of the country and back to my hometown. So it is really very, very exciting and to see the various developments and associating with this chapter. And also post-COVID, I think probably this is the first face-to-face interaction, and that is another cherishing moment for all of us in connecting face-to-face after probably a break of more than 2 years now. So I would like to say briefly about Simpson first, and most of you must be knowing well that this is the first engine manufacturing company in the country, started making internal combustion engines about 70 years ago, and along with Perkins. And now we make almost about 200,000 engines predominantly for the tractor industry and has got 3 plants and is part of Amalgamation Group, which has got more than 42 companies. And about the industry, I would like to give a brief how we are all growing, and it is going to be the decades of India in the coming 30 to 40 years. And you all know how the growth is taking place and what kind of opportunities the country has got and what kind of potential we can really use it to our advantage for the growth of the economy and the growth of the people and growth of the whole industries across. All the developed economies looking for alternate to China, and the only alternatives right now it's our country. And in terms of the population, definitely we will be touching somewhere around 1.7 billion. That's what the estimate says. A couple of days back I've seen some statistical data, and we will be the highest population and the youngest country for another 50 to 60 decades. That is the biggest strength we all have. How much we harness, how much we utilize that is to definitely to our expertise to nurture them, teach them, and bring the potential within them out and make it a very, very high skilled labor force within the country. That's the biggest challenge we all have. Coming to the domestic production, just to give statistics and how the economy is back in the last post-COVID situation. In the last 7 months of this year, passenger vehicles we have produced almost about 2.6 million versus 1.93 in the same period. On three-wheeler side, it's almost about 2.5 lakhs three-wheelers against 1.27 of the same period last year. And on two-wheelers, almost 10 million versus 8 million last year. That's a phenomenal, coming back to the original terms of what we were about a couple of years back. That's the biggest boost. In terms of tractors, we have almost produced 6.7 lakh tractors, which is higher than the earlier levels what we produced in the past years, versus almost about less than 6 lakhs in the similar period last year. So that means that these are all the indicators that the requirements is definitely increasing and the market is growing and the needs of the industries are ever changing. The situation around on the geopolitical situation, as I mentioned, is the need of an alternate for the biggest manufacturing country, that is China. That is what is the whole things is getting replaced, relocated, and all the big manufacturers are looking as alternate location, that's India. And our advantage is again the average age and the youngest workforce available, and it is going to be the norm for at least another 5 to 6 decades. And the advantage of IT and the Make in India initiative and the English speaking skills. So these three definitely makes a big differentiator for us compared to any other growing economies, any other bigger large workforce in anywhere across the world. And how we utilize and how we will use this super spot are a very, very interesting phase to our advantage is definitely biggest sweet spot for all the SMEs, medium scale sectors, and of course all the bigger companies too. And when it comes to this foundry industry, and the transformation is definitely taking place, you all know, in at least in the manufacturing sector related to the transportation industry or passenger car industry. You all know that two-wheeler is moving towards electrical vehicles. And the roadmap, in my view, will be like this. The first is the two-wheeler industry, and the second is the three-wheeler, and third will be the lower commercial vehicles. That means the last mile segment delivery vehicles. And it will lead to higher levels of vehicles or commercial vehicles and like versa. And the tractor and the construction equipment will be the very last to transform to EV sector. But this transformation will take at least another 10 to 15 years for at least changing 50% of the whole mass converting into EV, because a lot of infrastructure needs to be developed and that is going to be a long journey. But for this industry, whether it is a EV or current IC engine platform vehicles, the casting requirements will continue to exist in different forms, whether it is in the current form or different form. The industry will continue to support the new EV technological products that also requires castings of different nature. But the companies or whomsoever is there in this industry, they need to advance themselves to the next level of technology automation and give a different kind of solutions. So that's the transformation is going to be in the next 2 to 3 decades. But what are the challenges for the industry in my view? One is on the competitiveness on the technological solution that we give, and the skill set of the people within these small and medium scale sectors. Okay, so how you groom the skill, how you retain the skill, and how you continue to update the skill set in ever changing industry requirements. And third is on the digital connect, how much we are all connected digitally. You know, each and every smallest transaction in the country is taking place on the digital platform. Okay, so why not the similar transaction within our own industry domains? Why not within our own premises? Why not between the customer supplier relationship? How you will use the digital technology better, and how you will have that business excellence adapting to the digital technologies for meeting the new industry norms. And the most important thing is that many of the small and medium scale industries, they manufacture the component to the print. But if you see the overseas and even the smallest of small companies, they provide solutions. When I say solutions, making to the print, but what kind of value addition you will give that you differentiate yourself, even if somebody is supplying a smallest component, but do you make any value proposition to the customer differently in terms of service, in terms of after sales, in terms of faster time in development, in terms of giving a value, low cost solutions, and how we give that kind of solution, we make a difference. So many of I've been in the purchasing industry for long, and I've interacted with many of the supplier fraternity across the country, even on the overseas board. And especially this industry, predominantly all the supply bases making to the customer drawings. Okay, so making to the customer drawings has got a limitation because your cost visibility, your technology visibility is completely known, and you will be definitely will not be in a position to command on the price. Okay, and if you add any other value proposition into your solutions, then you make a difference. That's what the MNC companies who are making the similar components of foundries, and they make a difference. If I take an example of casting, the rejection in the casting, if we say there are very, very evolved foundries across the world, and the kind of rejection and the kind of control they do, it's completely different, and we are still not evolved in those areas. So we need to bring in technology adopted solutions in the manufacturing area so that we differentiate and protect the interest of the customer than waiting for the customer to provide solutions. So even today we are dependent on the OEMs or your immediate customer to provide solutions, either on the investment, either on the technical solutions, either on the quality solutions, either on the process solutions. So these are all, a lot of dependencies still exist. But will it last long? It may not, because alternate solutions are available, alternate solution providers are available, and the market is wide open across the world, and the OEMs have got options. So how we differentiate makes all the difference. On the expectation when it comes to customers, it is definitely on the cost, and second is on the reliability. Okay, so your product, your processes, your solutions, your after sales support, how reliable it is, how much trust you will create along with your OEM partners or your customers. So that will make you all the difference. And the solutions, as I mentioned earlier, it has to be digitized, and it has to have a digital platform connect. And technology addition in each and every value chain of your business is going to be a non-negotiable one. Otherwise, we will be left out in the whole chain of business. So as a OEM, and as if I put the recommendations to all the SMEs and medium scale sectors and all the foundry companies here. One is the most important thing is we have to move from solution from the foundry or make to the print to the solution provider. That is very, very, very essential, how we protect the interest of the customer. Second is how we hold the skill set of the people and your own, because if you go to any industry, 50% of the people is almost a permanent employee, another 50% is the floating employee. So in that case, you will be vulnerable in losing the skill sets if somebody comes and goes in 12 months' time. So still, the factory has to run and still the supplies have to happen, still the business has to run. So in that case, how you de-skill with the kind of low-cost automations, how you de-skill these kind of floating population with a very, very less value proposition jobs. And that is where your low-cost automation and the technology adoption comes in. So otherwise, it will be very, very vulnerable and it will be a very, very it will not be a cost-effective proposal to your customer. Third is on the customer centricity. Okay, so this is another vulnerable area where the smaller companies and medium scale sectors are not able to bring value on table today. So when I say customer centric, it is not that you respond to the customer, but how proactive you are with the customer, how you are early engagement with the customer in the part of the design stage itself, in the part of the solution making itself. As a casting supplier or the forging supplier or any other manufacturing process you do, how good your engineering team is early engaging with the customer. That is very, very essential. And otherwise, again, the going through the learning curve, nobody has got time. Okay, the learning curve cannot be a longer period like we used to have in the early part or 2 decades or 1 decade ago. So manufacture a car or a two-wheeler earlier used to take 3 years program or 4 years program. So if I have associated with the Ford or GM, your program will start today for delivery of a car in 2026. So that's how it used to be. Now no more it is like that. So you are able to come with a product in less than 2 years' time, including testing, validation, including design. So that is the speed the industry has gained. That's the need of the market, because if you go to any auto industry, the change of models are very, very fast. You cannot live with one model for long years. You cannot live with one model of scooter or motorcycle for long years. So the model changes and platform changes are very, very frequent and fast. So that means that the industry which is connecting with this kind of OEMs at the downside, okay, and they also need to connect very, very fast, otherwise somebody will discover that I lost the market. So how early engagement happens between your core engineering team along with your customers at the early part of the design, and how good you are able to give the value proposition to the customer for a best cost, best performance proposal will make a huge difference for the continued growth of your organization. So in case of Foundry, it becomes extremely important because this process is almost like a completely special process. Any stage of casting is a kind of special process. Special process means what? So you cannot measure everything there. So you cannot do any destruction testing also there. So your processes of whether it is heat treatment, whether it is core making, whether it is manual assembly, those needs to be very, very highly skilled, and it should be failure proof. So that process stability, that process consistency, that kinds of tools, kinds of processes, kinds of in-process detections in the various tools being used either with a digital platform or manual. So that needs to have a very high robustness. Otherwise, the high rejection rate is going to be fall back in terms of business growth for all of you. Okay, so that is one important area of early engagement is extremely essential in developing and establishing your processes and controlling the processes on a sustainable level. On the value chain control, passing on the cost, okay, once in a while is fine, but the customer's expectation is, okay, the cost is definitely going up, but what is the kind of value proposition the industry is giving back to me to protect the interest of the final end customer pricing? Because at the end of the day, the pricing is defined by the market. Unless otherwise you are a monopoly, okay, so your price will be defined by the market, and because options are available, so we need to be competitive. So that competitiveness comes if the entire value chain supports that kind of competitiveness in their respective services or products they provide to their immediate customer. So in that kind of operation, what is that In fact, if you take in the current organization I am in, we are engaged with many of our supplier partners, and we do a lot of value VAVE exercises along with them. We run a lot of classes, trainings, but I keep telling them, can this happen for a longer period? Can the OEM connect with you all for a longer period? Do they have time? Do they have something else to do? Okay, so because we make diesel engines today, and this diesel engines, how long it will sustain, we don't know, because maybe another 10-15 years for this industry. After that, this may have to migrate to a hydrogen platform, or it may have to migrate to NG platform, natural gas platform. So the industry has to work towards that. Okay, so the investment of the OEM should be in the futuristic product, futuristic market, and futuristic technologies. And connecting and handholding the entire supply chain downline has got a limitation today because of the cost factor, because of the technical people available, and those things are all matters a lot. So once upon a time, Tata Motors or Mahindra or Ashok Leyland, they used to handhold the supply base for a longer time, but now the platforms are available. Now the digital platform is very much available to gain the knowledge. Lots of trainings are happening, and the skill set is definitely much better than what it was earlier. So handholding will have limitation for a longer period. So that means that each and every industry and each and every small or medium scale industry has to really focus on how do they retain the talent and how they will continue to excel themselves to the better level than what it was yesterday. So that is going to be definitely a defining moment for each and everyone to have the basic sustenance of the business itself, if not the growth. Another point is on the quality, delivery, and the process control. I mentioned briefly in many of my earlier points, and the quality definitely is non-negotiable. People are expecting. We can see any international product what comes into that. We don't see any much rejections at all. Returns are very, very less. But do we have that kind of level of global quality standards in our processes? The expectation will be that because we are now pushing Make in India and Make for the World kind of initiative, and our product has to be of global standards, and that will happen definitely at one point of time. But are we scaling up that kind of quality standards in our processes and systems? And similarly on the delivery. Delivery is another major issue we have. So commitment versus delivery, and we are still not at the par like any other OEMs or any other MNCs do. The same MNCs within our own country, and they are able to ensure that 100% delivery on time and the material comes at the specific period, but the same thing is not able to get established between the Indian OEMs and the Indian suppliers. Okay, there is a challenge because we are connected more emotionally than more professionally. So that gives us a setback. So these all need to change. The last one is on the flexibility side. How flexible we are in changing our manufacturing setup to make alternate products. Like in your industry, like whatever processes and systems and machineries you have, can it adapt to the new requirements when the EV platforms comes in? When the EV platform comes in, that also requires casting, that also maybe the technologies are different, the profiles are different, the toolings will be different, but how fast we will be adaptable to change it. Flexibility in changing in the volume game, flexibility in changing the product nature, flexibility in changing the quality norms, and that needs to be inbuilt in your processes, and that will give a huge advantage for the continued growth and continued engagement with the industry. So these are all some of the recommendations from side. Let me summarize once again. One is on moving from the basic processes to the solution design processes, and second is agility in developing and holding the skill set within your team, and third is on the digitization platform, how much you will go towards Industry 4.4, how you will use the kind of opportunities available in adopting the low-cost automation for improving your processes and systems, and bringing more customer centricity across the organization, and value chain control and how much cost control exercises you will do within your organization. And the last is on the flexibility side, how flexible your business is to adopt the new processes and systems. So these are some of the recommendations from my side, from my experience, and I thought it will be useful to you. And I am sure that the sessions in the afternoon will impart, during the day will impart more and more knowledge. I request all of you to definitely adopt those and ensure that those practices are passed on, the knowledge is passed on to your peers and colleagues across the organization for enrichment of your own team and betterment of the processes. And thank you very much. Thank you once again for inviting. All the best to all of you. Thank you.
That was a very, very relevant topic for us to listen to. You touched upon the prospects for future India, mentioning the young workforce with English knowledge, and then you mentioned what all we lack in the global market, and you provided your recommendations for the foundry industry. So that was like a very well thought through talk. So we thank you again for that. And now we request Mr. Shaktivel Tirunavkarasu, Chennai chapter, IIF, to facilitate Mr.N. Balavijayan with our traditional Angavastram. And now we request Mr. VP Prem Kumar, National Council Member, IIF, to facilitate Mr. Balavijayan with a memento.